Hello and welcome to In Case You Missed It, Black Audacity Style, where we bring you up to speed today on last week's news and hot topics that you may have missed. I'm LaWanda Morris, CEO of Black Audacity Magazine and your host for this evening. Now, today we will be discussing breaking news. So pour yourself a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into it. Okay, today's breaking news is regarding the 2024 election. First of all, now you all may know that President Joe Biden stepped aside and put his full support behind VP Harris to become the next president of the United States of America. She has since picked Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, to be her VP running mate. I think it was a brilliant pick. Of course, this was not my initial thought, but now I know and I understand how he will bring more voters to the Harris-Walz ticket. Now, he's not only a great people person, but he has experience and knows how to lead. He can be president on day one. If, God forbid, something happened to VP Harris, which is exactly why President Joe Biden picked Harris to be his VP. You have to have someone who can be president from day one. Now, second, I want to speak on how some in the media have been covering all of the excitement and enthusiasm surrounding the Harris-Walz ticket. Instead of covering it the way they would have covered the excitement around anyone else's campaign, which would have been to simply say that Harris is quote unquote trending up. Instead, they have been referring to the excitement as a quote unquote sugar high, which is totally disrespectful, as if a Black woman can't genuinely and organically garner and keep this type of excitement. Everyone knows that after a sugar high comes a hard crash, and that's just simply not what's happening here. People are excited for all the right reasons. They were the same reasons that they were excited in 2008 when Obama ran, the same reason when Hillary Clinton ran. And then you add some more scoops on top of that. People are excited because Kamala Harris is Black. So stop using these Republican talking points, calling this excitement a sugar high. And thirdly, why are we repeating another Republican talking point that VP Harris needs to do a press conference and answer questions from the press, like Trump quote unquote did from his home in Mar-a-Lago? Let's be very clear. He answered absolutely no questions, zero, during that presser. Yet he gets free news coverage just like he did back in 2016. Don't believe me? I'll just let Lawrence O'Donnell break it down for you.
It was 2016 all over again today. Donald Trump spoke at his home in Florida for over an hour, and all of the cable news networks, including this one, carried it live, just like they all did repeatedly in 2016. It would be hard to find a sentence in what Donald Trump said today that did not include at least one lie. Some of the networks tried to play catch up with fact-checking after Donald Trump finished speaking, but that, of course, is way too late and utterly useless. No network even attempted to fact-check every lie Donald Trump told. Every network has the capacity, especially with these wide screens we now have at home, to run a live scroll at the side of the screen, fact-checking many of Donald Trump's lies. Not all of them, that would be impossible, but many of them as he speaks. For example, when Donald Trump said, quote, Kamala Harris is not smart enough to do a news conference, the networks could have simply put on the side of the screen, Kamala Harris is a graduate of Howard University and University of California Hastings College of Law. Of course, Donald Trump proved once again today that he is not smart enough to do a news conference by saying something that was provably false in every response he gave to every single question. Most of those were knowing lies by Donald Trump. But many of the falsehoods Donald Trump spread today in his responses came from that vast well of stupidity that takes up most of his brain. The stupidest person who has ever won a nomination for president stood there in front of those reporters and said his opponent isn't smart enough to do what he was failing at right in front of those reporters. And to make a bad news coverage situation worse, none of the networks, none of them, carried Kamala Harris's speech live after the Trump appearance. None of them. This network brought you the last few minutes of Kamala Harris's speech live, but was actually doing Olympics coverage when the speech began and kept doing. And so, as a first order of business in this hour tonight, we will correct that mistake by presenting to you in full and unedited, as if live, everything that Kamala Harris said today in her speech in Michigan, which all of the networks knew was coming. They knew what time it was coming. They knew how to cover it live, and they didn't. After giving Donald Trump more than an hour of live coverage on all of their networks. It's 2016 all over again. The same mistakes are being made. I have never seen an industry slower at learning from its own stupid mistakes than the American news business. And you cannot expect them in the next 89 days to figure out what they haven't been able to figure out in 9 years, how to cover a Trump for president campaign. One of the Harris-Walz campaign slogans now is, "We're not going back." But we just went back today. We went back 9 years in the press coverage of the campaign, the media coverage. Donald Trump gets credit from the people he lied to today for lying to them. They appreciate it. Reporters understandably and incorrectly believe that the most important thing a candidate can do is answer their questions, but they don't know what an answer actually is. Words spoken after their question marks are not necessarily answers and are never answers when they come from Donald Trump. There are rumblings in the news media now about Kamala Harris as a presidential candidate not doing what Donald Trump did today. Stand up in front of reporters and take their questions. And some of the tinier minds in the news media continue to give credit to Donald Trump for standing up and lying in response to every single question they ask. A lie is not an answer. Donald Trump never answers reporters' questions, never. Anyone in the news media who tells you that Donald Trump has answered reporters' questions and Kamala Harris hasn't is lying to you, and they're too stupid to know that they're lying to you because they don't know what an answer is. Donald Trump answered no questions today, none. He stood up there in a room where he made sure the reporters' questions could not be heard by the TV audience. And so when he spoke, the TV audience had no idea what the question was. Most of the questions were terrible. The silliest possible questions you could ask, questions about campaign strategy. What a waste of a moment with a convicted felon former president to ask questions like that. Here's one question. Mr. President, can you tell us a bit more about your upcoming interview with Elon Musk? That was an actual question to Donald Trump today. Question. What do you think of Kamala Harris not picking Josh Shapiro as her VP? Most of the questions were wasted questions like that. And so Donald Trump could just ramble about anything that came to mind, including lying, of course, about the size of his crowds. And the biggest lie he now tells about the size of his crowds is the lie about which of his crowds was his biggest crowd. He now claims that the crowd that gathered to hear him try to overthrow the presidential election on January 6th was his biggest crowd ever. It wasn't. Investigations have estimated that that crowd was about 53,000 people. Today, Donald Trump said that the biggest crowd he's ever spoken to, that was it. He actually had a much bigger crowd on his inauguration day, but that was still a smaller crowd than Barack Obama's inauguration day. So he had to lie about that too at the time. Today, Donald Trump said that his January 6th speech attracted a bigger crowd than Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech in Washington in 1963, the most famous speech ever delivered in Washington by someone who was not president of the United States. Martin Luther King's crowd was 5 times the size of Donald Trump's crowd on January 6th. I know it can sound almost tedious that I am fact-checking Donald Trump's crowd size lies today, but that's the way Donald Trump wants it to feel. He has been telling crowd size lies for 9 years, and he wants to wear the news media down to the point where they just accept it. And he has won because no one in that room fought him on that in any way today or on anything else. They did not fight a single lie that he told in that room today. It was the tamest collection of reporters asking questions that you could ever see. Are they afraid of Donald Trump? Are they afraid of the Trump campaign banning them from opportunities to have Donald Trump lie to them in the future? Now, I'm not advocating that reporters be combative with Donald Trump or anyone. I don't see the need for that. I really don't, even with Donald Trump. But how can you be so tame and timid in the presence of Donald Trump when you do this?
I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter?
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said.
Well, no, I did not say that.
Okay.
He did not say that.
But Mr. President, what?
Let me answer your question. The fact of the matter is, what I didn't want repeated, I didn't want him to know, and I didn't read it to him, was I had written a long memorandum to President Obama why we should not be in Afghanistan. And I was of this multiple pages. And so what I was referring to, I said classified. I should have said should be private because it was a contact between the president and the vice president as to what was going on. That's what it is referring to. It was not classified information in that document. That was not classified.
Donald Trump did not hear that sound today. He did not hear that screaming. If Donald Trump gets back in the White House, he will never hear that sound from those people, never. If Vice President Harris stands in front of those same reporters, do you think they will be as tame and reserved and polite as they were with Donald Trump today? Or will it look like this?
The president, I can tell you, has seen a neurologist 3 times as it's connected to to a physical that he gets every year that we provide to all of you.
You're not answering it. That's a very basic, direct question.
Hold on, wait a second.
8 times, or at least once, in regards to
I
the
just-
president
wait.
specifically.
Hold on a
That's
second.
what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no.
What are you worrying about?
No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So every year around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying.
We should have kept that video rolling because they kept yelling at her. You're not answering the question. They were outraged. But she was actually answering the question. They don't know what an answer is. And what they were pursuing turned out to be a lie. The next day, not one of them had a single question about what they were just screaming about in the White House press briefing room, because there was never anything to the story that they were pursuing. It turns out a doctor who's a Parkinson's specialist visited the White House a few times, as that doctor had been doing for years before the Biden presidency, and that doctor never once visited the White House to treat President Biden. And all the wrath of those reporters in that room that you just saw, all the wrath that they put into those questions just evaporated because they were completely wrong, and they never apologized for their misplaced anger in their treatment of Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Not one of them dared to yell at Donald Trump today. Not one of them. Not one of them dared to yell, "You're not answering the question." So the special treatment Donald Trump gets from the Supreme Court and elsewhere extends tragically and harmfully, and always has, to much of the press corps. Here's what happened when Donald Trump was asked a good question by NBC's Garrett Haake. Question: would you direct the FDA to revoke access to mifepristone? Here is what Donald Trump said to that yes or no question, which no matter how many times you read this answer, is not an answer. Trump. Sure, you could do things that would supplement, absolutely. And those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote. And after all, all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. But it's a very good, there are many things on a humane basis that you can do outside of that, but you also have to give a vote. And the people are going to have to decide. The words Donald Trump spoke to those reporters in response to that clear, simple, and important yes or no question were an insult to everyone in that room, and they took the insult. Nothing in those words was an answer, nothing. Donald Trump did not answer questions today. Don't let anyone tell you that lie that Donald Trump answered questions. He did not. He never does. Anyone who tells you that Donald Trump answered reporters' questions is lying to you. And anyone who tells you that is not smart enough to know what an answer is. Donald Trump is not smart enough to answer questions. Anyone who then tells you that Kamala Harris has to answer questions from reporters because Donald Trump already answered questions from reporters is lying to themselves and to you, and you must not allow them to do it.
Well, there you have it, from someone else who has been in this business and been in the political arena for quite a long time. Donald Trump doesn't answer reporters' questions. He gives them a complete word salad whenever he's asked a question, and they're just so happy and thrilled to be there that they don't care that they're not getting answers to their questions. So then they mouth off these Republican talking points, saying things like Kamala Harris must hold a presser because Donald Trump held a presser and answered the reporters' questions. Donald Trump did not then and does not answer reporters' questions. We would love to see Kamala Harris hold a press conference. I'm sure she will. But let's, just as Lawrence O'Donnell said, let's not compare the two and say that she has to do this because Donald Trump has done it. That is a flat out lie. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed Lawrence's take. If you want to see the rest of that video from Lawrence's show, visit MSNBC, their channel, and you can watch the rest of the show, which also includes the full speech, which they did not air live, that Kamala Harris, VP Harris, and Governor Walz gave in Arizona. I hope you enjoyed this segment. Well, that's all for now. I hope you have enjoyed today's segment of In Case You Missed It, Black Audacity Style. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and turn on those notifications so that you can see more Black Audacity Magazine YouTube content show up in your feed. I'm LaWanda Morris, CEO of Black Audacity Magazine, and we are unapologetically and unambiguously Black Audacity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. Please stick around for a brief word from our sponsors. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Black Skin Beauty. Black Skin Beauty is that black don't crack kind of beauty, y'all, that we all want and now that we all can have with Black Skin Beauty's new youthful regimen. Black Skin Beauty can help you get your skin all the way together. Black Skin Beauty offers a revolutionary 3-step youthful skin regimen to help your skin look and feel younger than ever before. Check out their website at www.blackskinbeauty.com. That's BLKSKNBEAUTY.com to enter for a chance to win free products and to get 10% off. Black Skin Beauty, that black don't crack kind of beauty. Check them out on Instagram today at Black Skin Beauty.